Hey guys, Ponce here, and just a slight update on the whole Deadeye thing I made a video on yesterday. Remember in the Word file or whatever, you guys saw the video, it mentioned Garen, Sona, and Vi. Well, turns out they do indeed have something to do with this whole teaser thing, as GIFs for them have been discovered on the Chinese League of Legends website. That's what they look like here, just kind of around me there. We're doing the Brady Bunch thing. Um, so yeah, I find that curious simply because I wasn't sure if they were actually related and maybe just thrown into the file for whatever reason. Simply because, well, these champions really have very little to do with each other, at least on the surface. Unlike the previous teaser, which messed with champion info pages, which was what was it, the Callista, who had the fairly, I don't know, clear connection of vengeance or betrayer thing between all the champions. Um, Actually, at the time, I kind of was theorizing it had something to do with like use of sort of or the sudden attainment of pseudo forbidden powers, which technically all those champions have in common, but they went with the vengeance route. So I don't know. Perhaps there's something here. For those of you wondering, there's nothing concrete yet. So just, why don't we speculate about this? Because I have nothing better to do. So I sat there thinking about, well, like, what do these champions have in common? Um, Now, this isn't guaranteed. This is a teaser, a new champion teaser at this point. It could be still a skin line, but, doesn't hurt to think what they have in common, I suppose. Actually, I saw in one of my comments somewhere that they have the commonality, between all of them, that all these champions are adopted except Garen, which is incidentally kind of a common theme when you go between these champions. They have certain things in common, and then you lead to except for Garen, which is probably a function of him just having vague, very old lore. Actually, so does Sona. Sona's lore is also relatively old as well. Vi's and Zed's are slightly newer, if I recall correctly. But yeah, so they're all adopted except Garen, and then I think the person, sorry, I forget your name. But, if you're watching this video, you know who you are. Said like, well, maybe Garen was actually adopted, and no one told him, or because he does have the sister Lux. But anyway, what was the other thing? Oh, is that all of them also have like a specific focal point for their power, like sudden power upgrade kind of thing, except for Garen, at least according to his lore. Zed gained that shadow stuff out of that box, and he suddenly became a lot more powerful. Sona was just an orphan girl until she learned how to use that étoile thing, like the lady taught her how to use it. Vi was just kind of a thief until she rigged the hex tech thing to turn them into giant punching thingers. And then Garen's just a dude with a sword, and it's never really mentioned why he's just like a killing machine. Maybe he just works out, he lifts or something. I don't know. Now, the other thing is they all have possible regret slash breaks from the past, sort of, except sort of from Garen again. Like Zed used to be like a proper student of the ninja school or whatever, and then he had that falling out with the master, and then he basically turned to the dark side and became a Sith or whatever. Vi used to be a thief and then had a conflict with her old gang's sort of moral code because they left a bunch of people to die, and then so she turned into sort of this Robin Hood like figure, and then eventually actually started working for the law. Sona, she's a bit of an issue with this as well, but she does like have this thing where it's like she was adopted, or she was just kind of this nobody in an orphanage, and then was adopted by some lady who's actually never really explained what her deal is in the lore as far as I can tell, and then just became this crazy music slinging thing that can heal and destroy. Perhaps it's also sort of a sense of a regret that she can't speak or something. Maybe that's the kind of thing from her past. Garen's case again, it's a sort of thing. He doesn't really have any kind of break. It's just sort of pseudo implied in his lore that like he's got that weird like romantic possible interaction thing with Katarina, and before that he was like super straight edge, and now it's like forbidden love thing, sort of, but not really. Um, the other thing, the one thing that they at least all do have in common is so we're going to start with Garen with this time. In the case of Garen, if you're going to go with that whole Katarina thing, they would all have like an individual who sort of is leading them down a new path in life, sort of thing. So in that case, I guess it would be Katarina, just sort of introducing the element of, I don't know, doubt or questioning of his old ways, his old straight edge ways, if you will. Um, Vi, in her case, that would have been what's her name? She's now partnered with Caitlyn, so basically an individual that she sort of answers to. Um, Actually, I guess in that case, if you're talking about sort of individuals that they answer to, Garen would answer to Jarvan. But anyway, uh, so yeah, there's Vi with Caitlyn. Sona with, yeah, she was an orphan girl who knew nothing and then was trained by this mysterious, whatever the hell her name was. I don't remember what it was. If you want to look it up, it's in her lore somewhere. Um, so yeah, this person basically led her into her new life. And then in Zed's case, it was like he was an orphan and then was picked up by the ninja master dude, so Shen's dad. Um, and then technically abandoned that path, so it doesn't quite work there, but there was like this dude that led him down a new path, sort of thing. Or if you want to consider the box of shadows or whatever that was, Zed open, that would be the new dude, or the dude that led him down a different path. um so in just kind of along those lines, if you're going to continue reasoning with that, they would all have sort of particularly strong desires in relation to their pasts or conflicts of ethics and sort of an internal moral compass, sort of in that kind of psychological thing with all these champions, I guess. In the case of Garen, if you're going to go with the Katarina thing, there's that. There's the sort of the duality between lawbreaker and thing of the law. In her case, not so much duality, but I guess he's just going from orphan to uh, person who sells out auditoriums and is a super famous um, musician that can move the hearts of even individuals like Swain. It's in her lore. And yeah, there's that. Although, so I suppose there's the duality where it's kind of noted that she's generally speaking, it seems she's more peaceful, but also knows how to completely destroy things, and she kind of trains that in secret. And then, of course, there's Zed, who's probably the more obvious, or one of the more obvious cases of this, where he was like an actual proper ninja student, and then he's tempted down the dark side and then kills his master. So presumably you can infer some regret in there. In fact, like there is that one part where he's like, his old master tries to take him back in and says, "Hey, you need to go deal with the box to confront your whatever, and I'll lead you back down the path of balance." Um, and then they go in and they don't tell you what happens, and there's like a scream, and then he shows up with the old master's head, so you're not actually told what happens in there. If you want to check it out, you can go read the lore. But yeah, anyway, there's all that going on there. Now, what does this mean in relation to, in theory, if this is a new champion, possibly Deadeye as either an actual name or a code name or whatever? Maybe some sort of champion that plays off of the regrets or the internal conflicts or just general traumatic past or something along those lines. of enemy champions. It seems like the kind of thing that would be introduced to the mechanic. I mean, I could see something like that. Now, this is again just pure speculation and probably worthless because, well, just worthless because Riot will just tell us eventually. But it was something to do for the time being. Just kind of my train of thought. I didn't spend a hell of a lot of time on this because, if I was really keen on this, I'd go through, all the other champions. And if we're going to be super scientific about it, well, not scientific, but you get what I mean. You'd go through every single champion and look for better instances of this and see if they would fit in. Of course, that's not a foolproof method either because Riot can do whatever they want. So even if there is a better instance of something that fits with my theory, they may just choose not to use it or whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna stop rambling on and actually go stream now. So thanks for watching, guys. Usual thing, description below contains twitch.tv/Ponce, and of course, as soon as there's more information on what the hell's going on here with the Deadeye thing, videos from me, the usual deal. Thanks for watching.